I'm a bit late on this one, aren't I? How's it going, folks? Today, I'm doing a quick review for the newest Disney animated film called Encanto. I listened to the Google Translate like 7 times to make sure I'm saying it correctly. I swear to God. Encanto. All right, I got it. Whatever, I digress. Let's talk about this movie. I was very excited for this film when it was first announced, especially when they said that Lin-Manuel Miranda would be doing the music for it. Lin did the music for Moana. He's also known for like Hamilton, of course, and I think the guy is fantastic with his music. And I was like, okay, cool, let's see where he goes with it. And also just like the entire aesthetic of this film, seeing it's like in Colombia, seeing these colors, like, I mean, my gosh, like this is such a vibrant film visually with like the outfits, the scenery, the settings, the house, it's beautiful. It's a very visually stimulating film, but not in the sense where it feels like it's overdoing it or overloading me. I was like loving the hell out of this. This movie's gorgeous. It is a gorgeous film, like right off the bat, fantastic in its presentation. So the film itself came out, I believe, in theaters in late November, so around like Thanksgiving. And then it came out on Disney Plus around the end of December, and it blew up. I mean, like extraordinarily popular because it was free to watch on Disney Plus. I mean, that's the way to do it. If your objective is to reach out to people and just hit as many viewers as possible, put it on your streaming service for free. Boom. That's how you do it. What's so interesting is the explosion of popularity online, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Spotify, with the billboards for the songs. It felt like it was a delayed reaction where it came out in November, but it wouldn't be until late December, of course, in January, where it just took off in a massive way. You got songs from the movie that are making hundreds of millions of views over the course of a few weeks. And for good reasons. I mean, like, I've been humming the songs for like weeks now. I love the song from Isabella, What Else Can I Do? Oh, that's my favorite. Oh, the beginning with the fading with the instrument, with her lyrics, amazing. But of course, like, we don't talk about Bruno. That seems to be the unexpected winner as far as popularity goes, because that has the most views online compared to the other songs. When I first saw the film, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. I like it a lot. But then I rewatched it like 4 times afterwards. And every single time I watched it, I loved it even more. I love the characters. They feel fun. They feel very distinct in who they are. Synopsis, by the way, and spoilers for those who don't want to be spoiled. The story is about Mirabel, our main character. She is part of a family that lives in a magical house. This house has a candle that grants miracles, like powers, to members of the family. So Mirabel here has sisters who have like super strength, can control plants, things like that. Mirabel, when it was her time to get a gift from the house, did not get one. She was rejected, so she has no power. So that was when she was a kid. Now she is older, and she's discovering that the house is starting to crumble, and Mirabel is discovering the past about her family, about her Uncle Bruno, how the family's like, we don't talk about him. All right, he's a bad guy, we don't talk about him. But also how like different family members are carrying these burdens, but like in a way where they are keeping it bottled up in them. Where like the older sister, she's the strong one. How she's like, oh, I have to bear the burdens of the family. I just gotta keep shouldering this and not cry about it. Or Isabella, how she's like, I have to marry. I have to be perfect. I have to be the one to carry on our family's legacy with this guy who I don't even want to marry. And it's like, oh my gosh, no one's happy. And Abuela here, who's like, there's no villain in this movie. I guess the villain is like generational trauma. Abuela here, the story for her is that her and her husband and her 3 children, like years ago, there's some trauma that happened at their village that escaped it. In the process, Abuela's husband is killed because of them fleeing and her husband dying. She's like so concerned about just making things perfect, making sure everything is being taken care of and to avoid any kind of bad vibes, which her son Bruno, he's like a sightseer. He has prescience, so he can be like, this is the future and the house is gonna crack. And he was kind of like rejected out of the family because of it. Though he never left, he like hid in the walls. Bruno's a great guy. I love his character. There's obviously a lot to unpack, and the sentiment I want to deliver is the following. Visually, the animation, just fantastic. It's amazing what they're capable of nowadays. Like Disney, you're just really blowing it out of the water. And I like the characters, their story. I like how we get to discover how these characters are complicated and how many of them are carrying a weight that they'd rather not. And healthy communication is the key and growing closer to family in a very real way. And just the entire finale of it all with Abuela seeing how her putting so much pressure on her children, her grandchildren, was actually tearing them apart, and her apologizing. That was beautiful. And I had a complaint because they lose their magic because the house actually collapses because of all the pressure. I'm like, oh, because they rebuild the house and the village helps them rebuild the house. And I'm like, oh, it's magic's back. Oh, that sucks. It's kind of a weak finale, huh? And I'm like, no, what? No, I take that back. I think actually it's a beautiful thing the magic comes back. Also, it's Disney for branding, so of course the magic's coming back. All in all, this movie was very, very good. I struggle to actually give it any kind of criticism as far as like, you could have improved on this front or that front. Really, I mean, it's a really good movie. I think sometimes the pacing for the film drops a bit in the middle of the movie, where like we're following Mirabelle on her journey to discover Bruno and his history and moving from room to room in the house. I feel like there's some pacing issues where I'm like, okay, it's slowing down a bit, but it's forgivable, where I'm like, okay, I'm losing a little bit of interest. Can we move on? And also there's a lot of family members to keep track of. So maybe for some folks, it might be like, who's what now, where? But that could also be on the individual for not paying attention. So I think it's neat to see this film blow up. I think it's really cool to see it continuing to trend. And I think it's a good thing that Disney is like representing this stuff. That's been an entire conversation, and it's been a complicated to traverse because some people think that Disney does this to cash in on other cultures. And I can see the concern of that side of the argument. Because some people online are like, well, if you like this film, then actually go support the animation studios from these parts of the world, like Colombia or Mexico or whatever. And I'm like, that's valid. It is valid. But like, you have to keep in mind that American audiences, for the most part, are people who are not going to go outside of that bubble, where they are very content with what they're being shown in front of their streaming services. You're not gonna have some mother of four who's like, I should go look up animated movies and shows from this part of the world and then dig through the internet to try to find like a 480 rip that's like terrible. It's all about convenience. I'm hoping that this is a win-win where folks are now like, oh, I think this is an interesting story from this part of the world. I want to seek more of it. And that will be a snowballing effect for folks to like get out of that bubble. Sometimes you need a push for that, because Disney is known for being like passive progressive, where they're like, look at our gay cyclops. But I think Encanto though was actual like genuine effort to try and represent the culture, this region of the world. It's refreshing. I hope we see more. And I know a big part of that is the conviction behind it to do your homework and research and present stories that are told in the interest of representing these people and their culture. And I think that's good for mainstream audiences who watch Disney films, because it gets them outside of their bubble. They shouldn't be content with just simple derivative content, like as far as like the same old European, fairy tale over and over and over again. It's like, no, we can explore the world and try different stories, and hopefully that will inspire new audiences to seek that stuff out. I guess we'll see where it goes. I think that Encanto is a really good step forward in that direction. So that all being said, those are my thoughts about Encanto, and let me know what you all think in the comments. I will probably end up watching the movie again this week. I'm very much so enjoying it. So let me know what you all think about the film, and I will see you all next time.